Everyone. Good evening, everyone. Sorry. Myself is Saurabh Goyal. I am the fellow chartered accountant and I am the moderator for this webinar. A warm welcome to all in our 115 webinar under the Know Your Law series, which is organized by our Committee on Commercial Laws, Economic Advisory, and NPO Cooperatives. So today is 18 September, and today's webinar topic is New Horizon in PMLA for CAs. This session will provide you a brief knowledge about PMLA laws, which is beneficial for our CAs. So before we dive in, let's introduce our committee. So this committee is focused to encourage chartered accountants to shape strategy and policies that unlocks economic, financial, and social value, which while combining analytical foresight with commercial activity. One of the core area of this committee is to develop and publish technical guidance, background material, input to regulators on policy formation, and to create awareness for professional opportunities for CAs in commercial laws, economic advisory, and NPO cooperatives. So let's introduce our guest speaker, CA Himanshu Goyal ji. So CA Himanshu Goyal ji is a fellow chartered accountant of ICI and having more than 19 years of experience. He is a managing partner of a CA firm, a well-renowned CA firm, RNGCA, based at Jaipur, having services spread across 50 plus cities in India. He has expertise in RERA, PMLA, and income tax search. He's also done an executive program from IIM Ahmedabad. He also played an advisory role in multiple associations like Rajasthan Affordable Housing Developers, etc. And he's a visiting faculty in RERA, on RERA in ICI and ICSI, CSI. Also contributed in RERA deliberation at CII, PHID chambers, etc. We are so excited to hear, sir. Now, CA Himanshu Goyal ji, over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saurabh. A very good evening to all my learned friends at ICAI, respected Shri Abhay Chajar ji, Pramod Jain ji, my brother Rohit Ruatia ji, other members of the committee. Uh, a very good evening. Today, I'm going to take you through one of the most talked about subject in the country these days, and we'll find out the professional opportunities arising from this act. Though I can say not a veteran act, but an old act because it came in 2002, but with effect from 1st July 2005. So almost it's been 20 years that, more than 20 years that this act is into force. But yet it has brought amazing opportunities, professional opportunities for all of us post 2019, because there have been amendments in the act in 2005, 9, 12, 15, and then 19, and subsequently some amendments in 22. So I'll be taking you through this act. The basic idea would be to first give you give you an idea of what is PMLA Act, and then how does it evolve, how so many actions are being done across the country, and then what are the professional opportunities available. Once you will understand the act, its rules, its whereabouts, then I believe you'll be able to yourself make out that it has so many professional opportunities for chartered accountants that this can be a good value added service in your bouquet of professional services what your firm and you are offering. To start with, friends, I've set out an agenda to be shared with all of you, which will be primarily starting from origin of word laundering. I will be talking about certain cases because it is important to understand why PMLA and whether certain things fall under the scope of PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. And then you will be able to link them with certain good names and then understand that why the enforcement directorate did its action on these particular people or these particular organizations. I'll take you through a brief history of PMLA, then the important amendments, then the objective of the act, stages in money laundering, the relevant sections. It's a beautiful act of almost 75 sections and running into 50 pages if a printout is taken out on A4 page. It's a very small act, but yet very important act because it's both a civil as well as a criminal act. So it embeds the quality of a chartered accountant as well as a lawyer. Then I'll take you through what is the schedule offenses, popular activities, punishment, what is enforcement directorate, what does it comprise of, powers of investigating officers, structure of the authority, procedures under the law, appeals, red flags, search, seizure, attachments, and all those things. And by the time I'll be taking you through all these, probably you'll yourself start understanding that yes, this act has huge opportunities, and post to 2019, it is like a new horizon for chartered accountants. Friends, PMLA Act and its opportunities. Let us first understand what is PMLA, or in fact, what is money laundering. Or let us first understand what is laundering. So, most of you must have thought that laundering is, changing it's cleaning something, I believe. So, tell me one thing. I don't mind if we keep this interactive because, it's always good to have brainstorming together. Tell me one thing. If suppose any person is found converting an undisclosed income into or bringing that into the channel, do you think would it attract the provisions of money laundering? Or maybe if somebody is found transferring some money from Rajasthan to Maharashtra and that money is caught, do you think that would form part of the offense of money laundering? Anybody would like to answer? Well, friends, I can share with you how did this word laundering start and what is it all about? Because both these activities, what I've talked about, they are primarily the subject of Income Tax Act. The law draws a very fine line between the provisions of PMLA Act, Income Tax Act, again then Benami Law, FEMA, Black Money Act. All these acts coexist with different purposes, and they have different set of roles and responsibilities given by the honorable parliament of this country, and they operate in different pedigrees altogether. So there's a story in 1920s. There was a guy called Al Capone. What he was doing, he was uh, dealing in illegal liquor trade, illegal liquor trade. So he used to generate a lot of money from that, but he wanted to expand his business across the globe. But transferring of funds or the security of funds was a major issue for him. And then to deposit money in his bank accounts and then to explain that it is from illegal liquor trade was very difficult for him. So what happened, friends? He bought thousands of laundromats, what we call the laundry machines, across the United States of America, and almost 10,000 in numbers, and started depositing the money obtained from illegal trade of liquor into the machines and showing it as the money being earned from these laundromats. One odd day, his return was found for scrutiny by the investigating officers. They asked him the details of his receipts, and he produced details because he had thousands of laundromats. So he produced the details of each laundromat, which ran into around 2-3 rooms of the IT department. Thereafter, the department said, okay, we cannot see so much, so you just give us the details of 25 machines. When the machines details were given, they conducted a survey on the machines and they could find that what maximum a machine could generate, even if it ran for 24 hours, was $67 per day. And then he finally surrendered and accepted that yes, he was converting the illegal money into legal money, and that is basically laundering for the purpose of the Money Laundering Act. So, conversion of money obtained from illicit activities, illegal activities, to a legitimate source is basically money laundering. And this action is called as the offense of money laundering. So this is how it originated in 1920s. Then came a very famous person, Pablo Emilio Escobar. I think most of you would have heard his name. Yes, he was the cocaine king. Again, his idea was to sell cocaine across the globe. And if I show you his network, see, this was his network from Southeast Asia to Asia, the Golden Crescent, the Golden Triangle to USA, from across the globe. This was his trafficking route. So, friends, what what he was trying to do was he was trying to do some illegal activity. So, in principally, when the law originated, the concept was to emanate drug trafficking, anti terrorist activities, human trafficking, and things like that. So, you all would be surprised in why today the Law and Enforcement Directorate is coming into all FIRs, all crimes, or why business offenses are being considered by ED and why the raids are being conducted. Yes. So this all happened in 2019, since when this act has gained much more importance, or in fact 2015 when IPC was introduced in the scheduled offenses. We'll see it in the times to come. But why a need was felt for a law to control money laundering? Because money laundering was considered as a heinous crime, which not only it affects the social and economic fabric of a particular country, but it also tended to promote certain offenses like terrorism and drug trafficking. And it used to create an unaccounted parallel economy which would have affected the world in a huge way, and it actually did in the earlier or mid 19s, if we say maybe around from 1950 to almost 2000. And there was a thought process across the globe that how to deal with this, and all the countries got together to make the similar anti money laundering laws. So law was introduced with an objective to prevent and control money laundering, to confiscate and seize the property obtained from the offense of money laundering, and to deal with any other issue connected with laundering in India or across the globe. In India, it was in 1998 when we became part of the World's Convention, and then subsequently from 1st July 2005, this act was implemented in this country. Now, I'll share with you. So, before I share these few names, I think these will sound very familiar to you. Why Mr. Nirav Modi? So, there was an FIR under section 420, 467, 471, and 120B of the Indian Penal Code. Is this exactly the role what is being looked after by the Learned Enforcement Directorate or by the PMLA Act? Then there was a case of Section 13 of the Prevention of Corruption Act, registered by CBI, a BS and FC branch, Mumbai. What was this fact? I guess most of you know this case. But were these he did some business transactions, he did some forgery, but was that the purpose of PMLA? I hope you can remember this face, Mr. Vijay Malia. Whatever bank fraud he did, do you think was that part of PMLA? Mr. Karthi Chidambaram, there was a FIR in INX Media money laundering case alleging irregularities in FIPB clearance to the group for receiving overseas funds of 305 crores. Do you think was this actually the purpose of PMLA Act? Syndicate bank fraud. The modus operandi of the fraudsters included getting loans sanctioned in their name or in the name of family members and fake check discounting. Others credit cooperatives, very innocent people invested their money and never returned back. What to talk about the interest? Mr. Manish Sasodia, Delhi. PACL Ponzi scam, which is going on presently across the country. So many Loda committee has been made. They were dealing into land. Sahara India Parivar scam with respect to the issuance of optionally fully convertible debentures. So, friends, having seen these 7, 8 faces and these 7, 8 issues, what do you think is actually the offense of money laundering? So before I come to the brief history of PMLA, I like to share with you three intrinsic aspects. Though two now, post the judgment of Vijay Madan Lal Chaudhary, which came recently, and after the amendment in the Act, an explanation was added in the definition of Section 3 of PMLA uh, in 2019. But the concept what develops around the PMLA Act is that first there should be a crime. What is that crime? That crime is defined in a schedule which is part of this act, wherein there are 29 acts and 132 sections being extracted from those acts, and saying that if there is a complaint or there is an offense under those sections, that would constitute as a crime which would be eligible to be hit by the provisions of the PMLA Act. So there has to be an illegal activity which is defined. Beyond that, nobody can go. Then there has to be a proceed of crime. Proceed of crime means suppose somebody has to earn from this proceed of crime. So that is the proceed of crime, because they have to quantify what is the value of the crime, because the properties are to be achieved. And before 2019, or in fact before Vijay Madan Lal Chaudhary, there's a word and in the definition, and said it should have been shown as legitimate money. But now holding the proceeds of crime, enjoying the proceeds of crime, using the proceeds of crime. There are few words in the explanation given: possessing the proceeds of crime, transferring the proceeds of crime. So if all this happens, then also you are part of the offense of money laundering. So there is a crime, there is a proceed of crime, and if you are holding and doing 6, 7 activities, which I'll share with you, then you are part of the offense of money laundering. And now there'll be two acts which will be taking care of those transactions. Suppose if you have done something wrong under the Indian Penal Code, so the FIR is registered at police station and they'll be taking care of that. But so that is a crime. But the money generated from that crime is basically the money generated from money laundering activity. That is considered as money laundering activities. And if it is being used, possessed, transferred, enjoyed, that is the offense of money laundering. And the enforcement directorate will also see that transaction in terms of the provisions of the PMLA Act. Again, PMLA Act would have two things. One is civil, one is criminal. Civil is to attach the property, and criminal is to prosecute for the offense of money laundering. So, just an example. Somebody doesn't likes me and says, or maybe suppose you are two friends and one of you don't like the other person, and you tell me that, Priyanshu, please, I want to kill that person, kindly murder that person. So I say, okay, I'll charge 50 lakh rupees. And then you say, okay, I'll give you 50 lakh rupees. But then I say, okay, I'm a chartered accountant, I'll bill you professionally and I'll apply GST, you deduct TDS, I'll bill you for professional services. So I conduct a murder and you give me that. Now what happens, sir? There is a crime. Murder is a crime. Is murder part of the schedule offense? Yes, murder is part of the schedule offense. So there is a proceed of crime. What 50 lakh given to me is a proceed of crime. What I have shown is that I have given professional service. So I have shown is that untainted money. Now, had I got in cash, even if I was enjoying it, I was using it, this would become the proceed of crime, and I would become liable to be a confiscate of the assets obtained. If money or the assets obtained from that 50 lakh would be liable to be confiscated, and I might be imprisoned for a period of 5 years. So this is the offense of money laundering. Now coming to the brief history of PMLA, why it is important? Because you need to know how the law has developed. Earlier, the law was primarily for drug trafficking and anti-terrorist activities, which has subsequently emanated into 29 different acts, which may be Arms and Ammunition Act, Water Pollution Act, Air Pollution Act. And as I go by in this act, for in the maybe after my 100th slide, you might start realizing that we as chartered accountants might be part of some kind of activities which what we are doing for our clients, which may drag us into the provisions of the PMLA Act. And for that, I'll request you at a later stage to be aware about. So what is the brief history? So by now what we have understood is the basic concept of PMLA. Now let us see the brief history of PMLA, sir. So brief history of PMLA is that there was a global effort to combat money laundering. In 1988, the Vienna Convention, it created an obligation for signatory states to criminalize the laundering of money. Then there was 1989, there was a Basel's Committee. Then 1990, Europe Convention. Just naming these so that you have an idea that the entire world was thinking about criminalizing the offense of money laundering. Then there was an International Organization of Securities Commission. It encouraged its member to take necessary steps. Then there was a Financial Action Task Force, which was formed by the governments of G7 countries, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and United Kingdom, and the United States at their 1989 Economic Summit. Again, for this. Then there was an International Monetary Fund. It has pressed its 189 member countries to comply with international standards to thwart terrorist financing. So see, till 89, 90, 91, it was primarily for drug trafficking and basically for terrorist funding. Then there was a thought process, and specifically UN Convention against illegal traffic on narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances 1998 provided comprehensive measures against drug trafficking. The Prevention of Money Laundering Bill. So 98 basically, India got this idea. India handholded the concept of the offense of money laundering, criminalizing the offense of money laundering. And in 1999, the PML bill adopted by both the houses of the parliament and was introduced as the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. It received the president's assent in January 2003 and was brought into the act as 2003 and became effective from 1st July 2005. So this is from 2005 that the PMLA Act has come into the force. Then it was amended in 2005, 2009, 2012 to strengthen compliance and international cooperation. Then further amendments in 2015, 18, and the most important one, 2019 and 22, expanded the scope of proceed of crime. Yes, this was the time when the definition of proceeds of crime was enhanced, and it enhanced the enforcement directorate's powers and brought in new reporting obligations, including on digital assets, aligning Indian laws with global anti-money laundering standards. This is how this law developed from 1999 to 2022. So what were the important amendments? Why do we talk about this act? And what exactly happened that this act suddenly in 2019 became very important? I'll tell you one fact, friends. Most of you would have heard the name of CBI, Central Bureau of Investigation, prior to 2019. Then what happened suddenly that what role we heard was being played by CBI was gradually being played by the Learned Enforcement Directorate? I tell you, friends, CBI was formed under the Delhi Police Act. And law is a subject matter of state, technically. So, initially, what had happened was that most of the states had given blanket permission to CBI to conduct inquiries in their state. But somehow it happened in 2018-19 that the non-central government states, 7 non-central government states of the country refused those permissions. And then the need was felt to have a central act and a central investigating agency which had jurisdiction over the entire country and did not require permissions from the state governments for its actions. And therefore, in 2019, the various amendments were made. So 2005 amendments were, I would not more specifically bring because it might be more technical. But yes, in 2009, from drug trafficking to terrorism to few acts were added like the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, Indian Penal Code, Explosives Act, Antiques and Art Treasurers Act, the SEBI the Customs Act, few sections, Bonded Labor System Act. So just see, if you have a bonded labor, you might ultimately fall into the offense of money laundering. So this is important. I told you, as I will proceed forward and I'll take the names of these acts, you would be serving in these acts, and then you might come to know that, oh, I am into SEBI advisory. Then if I am found being guilty, assisting somebody of some offense, I may also be part of being called as accused. So now start paying attention on this. Then there is Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act. So Information Technology Act 2000. So anything covered under these acts, the specific sections which form part of the schedule, would be a crime for the purpose of the learned ED to see the matter under the provisions of PMLA Act, and the money earned from that would be the proceed of crime. Then 2012 amendments were also a bit technical. They were related to retention of property, retention of records, burden of proof, and various other things. 2019, certain important amendments came into force. Like in the Benami law, we know that property once a Benami is always a Benami. So the offense of money laundering, in explanation to Section 3, which defines the money laundering, it said that the offense of money laundering is a continuing offense. And it continues till such time a person is directly or indirectly enjoying the proceeds of crime by its concealment or possession. So what happens, sir? A crime was committed in 2006, and till today you are enjoying that house. So that might come into the ambit in case if it is proved that there was an offense at that point of time. So obviously, post addition of various acts from time to time, because the issue of retrospective and prospective would always be there. Then there was a section 21U where the definition of proceeds of crime was expanded, and including property not only derived or obtained from the schedule offense, but also any property which may directly or indirectly be derived or obtained as a result of criminal activity relatable to the scheduled offense. Any activity, subsequent activity, or a relatable activity related to the scheduled offense. Then section 44 and 45. 45 was very important because it said that all offenses shall mean and shall be deemed to have always mean that all offenses shall be cognizable offenses and non-bailable offenses. What is cognizable offense? Arrest without warrant, cognizable offense, and non-bailable offenses. So in PMLA Act, principally, jail is a rule and bail is an exception. We'll see certain judgments in which this phrase has been already stated by the honorable courts and very higher courts. So the offense shall be cognizable offense and non-bailable. Cognizable is arrest without warrant. Therefore, now ED officers are empowered to arrest an accused without warrant subject to certain conditions. So they have to just communicate the reasons for which the person has been done, not giving ECIR. We will come to that. So these were the principal amendments made. In 2023, the reporting entity notifications came, where the chartered accountants were also introduced as reporting entities, which I will cover in detail after my 115th slide. So till now, friends, what you have understood is the concept of why the PMLA Act was brought into force and what concept it works on. So it is not converting of black money to white money. It is conversion of illegal money to legal money, and that is laundering. So not black to white, but illegal to legal, or illegal holding the money and doing 6-7 things. So this is what is the concept of PMLA Act. Now, before I start with the specific provisions of the Act, I think you must have started thinking by now that what are the professional opportunities which will evolve from this Act, because our subject is that it's a new horizon for chartered accountants. So professional opportunities, see, if an Act is applicable under various laws and you are practicing under those laws or doing advice, every law will give you a professional opportunity. Suppose somebody is an accused, representing him before the Learned Enforcement Directorate would be an opportunity. Representing him before the learned adjudicating authority would be an opportunity. Before the tribunal would be an opportunity for chartered accountants. And then for lawyers, it may go up to High Court and Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court. Then who will calculate the proceed of crime? How the proceed of crime would be calculated? Who would see the trail? There would be lakhs of transactions like Mahadev app. There would be lakhs of transactions. So who would compute those proceed of crime? Who will see that trail? Probably you are the best people. Would it require audits like forensic audit? Yes, the PM, the Enforcement Directorate may call for a forensic audit of a particular bank account, transactions, or maybe a scam. Then again, that is a scope for all of us to see it as a professional opportunities. Then I use the word in 2023, certain reporting entities were, tightened for that. So has anybody got a call from your bank that, sir, you have deposited 1 crore rupees? What is this for? Must have. Maybe above 5 lakhs, there is a trigger. Okay. And they ask you that why have you deposited, from where this check has come, or even if you are debiting something, a bigger amount than what you usually do, they call you. What is that? This is part of the AML guidelines issued to the banks as reporting entities. So the banks can be your client, the SEBI can be your client, the stock exchanges can be your client, the insurance broking firms can be your client, the insurance companies can be your clients for those purposes. So there are so many guidelines which emanate from this act that you can find out the professional opportunities evolving around those regulations. So you just have to understand the regulations, and then you can find out the professional opportunities arising across those regulations. So with that intent, now let us try to understand certain basic provisions of the act with which you will be able to understand and keep in mind that, oh yes, this can be a professional opportunity for me. So friends, let's move to discussing the provisions, the basic provisions. It's a basic thing, because the primary objective is to give you a basic understanding of the provisions of the act. Our institute has a wonderful course under the committee which is hosting this program today, which relate to certificate course on anti-money laundering laws. You can join that. Believe me, I did that course 2.5, 3 years back, and that changed my entire practice, the thought process, and been practicing into this law since last many years, and that was really helpful. Really helpful. It was a life-changing course being brought by ICI for members. So now let us proceed to the prevention of money laundering. So money laundering is an illegal practice of filtering dirty money or ill-gotten gains through a series of transactions until the funds are clean or appear to proceed from legal activities. So illicit to legal. So that's the concept of money laundering. So what does the act says? To prevent and control money laundering, to confiscate and seize the property obtained from laundering money. So if I'm confiscating a property, I'm seizing a property, do you think there would be some kind of valuation coming up? Because there has to be a first value of proceed of crime. So that is your job. So one work. Then valuation of the asset which is to be attached, which is obtained from the proceeds of crime. So you get the work for valuation also. Then to deal with any other issues connected with money laundering in India. Okay, so representation and all that. So the objective of the act is, so I'll link whatever I say with what kind of work you can think of obtaining from this act: to control and prevent money laundering, to confiscate and seize the property, and to deal with any other issue connected with the money laundering in India. And obviously to punish the offender for that. So what are the stages in money laundering? Placement, dirty money is introduced into financial system. Layering, illicit funds are moved around to disguise their origin, and money enters the legitimate economy through clean investments. So this is how the laundering is done. And if I take you to the basic definition, section 2P, money laundering. So it says it has the meaning assigned to it in section 3. And if I take you to section 3. Now friends, all my dear professionals who are listening to me, read this very carefully, and I will, pause, take at least 5 to 6 pauses while I read this definition, because when after this I'll take you to the schedule of offenses and the acts, and then if you are having checkbook of your client, if you are having digital signatures of your client, if you are doing a registry on behalf of your client, you will be reminded of this slide forever, and you will think before assisting anybody that whether you may fall prey to the offense of money laundering or not. So section 3, offense of money laundering. Whosoever directly or indirectly, I did murder directly. Somebody was driving my car. My article was driving my car indirectly. Attempts to indulge or knowingly assists. My article knew that sir is going to commit a murder. I am going with him. Knowingly assist or knowingly is a part or is actually involved. Sir, take this knife. Now you do the murder. In any process or activity connected with the proceeds of crime, including its concealment, possession, acquisition, or use, including its concealment, possession, acquisition, or use. And why is this and in red? I'll tell you. And projecting or claiming it as untainted property shall be guilty of offense of money laundering. What does it say? That there is a crime and the proceeds are projected as untainted property. But this and there was an explanation introduced by Finance Act 2019, which what did it say? That a person shall be guilty of offense of money laundering if such person is found to have directly or indirectly attempted to indulge or knowingly assisted or knowingly is a part or is actually involved in one or more of the following process or activities connected with proceeds of crime, namely concealment or possession or acquisition or use or projected as untainted property. Now see, this is E, which was the initial part. It has now become E, or claiming as untainted property. So what happened, friends? This word and, what was earlier? You did a crime, you had proceeds of crime, and it was shown as untainted money. Now this and has been treated as or in the judgment passed by Honorable Supreme Court in the name of Vijay Madanlal Chaudhary and others versus Union of India, that and must be read as or to give full effect to section 3, meaning thereby if there is a crime and there is a proceed of crime and you are concealing it, possessing it, acquiring, using, projecting as untainted or claiming as untainted in any manner whatsoever, then also you are part of the offense of money laundering. Very important thing. Directly, indirectly, indulge, knowingly assist or knowingly is a part or is actually involved in any process or activity. Now you have to see, friends, when I will take you to the schedule, whether any of your services what you are giving to your clients, you are knowingly assisting, knowingly are part or actually involved in the process. Before that, a very important point 2 was added to the explanation that the process of activity connected with the proceeds of crime is a continuing activity, what I had explained earlier, and continues till such time a person is directly or indirectly enjoying. Suppose you say, yes, I got this 50 lakh and I have now spent it them in Goa. And I bought one watch for 10 lakh rupees. So that 10 lakh rupees you are enjoying, sir. So that will be continued offense for the offense of money laundering, sir. Fine. And it is directly enjoying the provides concealment or possession or acquisition or use or projecting. Again, all those things. So if you are using once an offense is always an offense. So I hope I've made it clear that what is the offense of money laundering? The offense of money laundering is that it is defined 2P. It says it has meaning in section 3. Section 3 says offense of money laundering, whosoever attempts illicit to legal, then and concealing, possessing, acquiring, using, then it's offense of money laundering. So what does the act envisage? The act envisages civil procedure for attachment and confiscation of proceeds of crime, and also for criminal prosecution of persons involved in money laundering. So what did I say earlier? One, I'll take the asset from you, which is obtained from the offense of money laundering, and second, I'll punish you There'll be a criminal punishment for you for the act of offense of money laundering. Now, friends, the schedule of offenses. I don't know how many of you have read these schedules or read these acts being part of the scheduled offenses. Well, now let us read the Arms Act, the Wildlife Protection Act. Do you have a parrot at your home? If yes, if it's a green parrot, it's banned in wildlife. And that is part of the offense of money laundering indirectly. Immoral Traffic Act, Prevention of Corruption Act, Explosives Act, SEBI, Customs Act, Bonded Labor, Child Labor, Transplantation of Human Organ, the Juvenile Justice Act, Companies Act few section, Passports Act, Foreigners Act, Copyright Act. Yes, many of you have worked. Trademarks Act. Maybe most of you have assisted in trademarks. The Information Technology Act, the Biological Diversity Act. I hope you don't have any plant which is banned. The Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Right Act, the Environmental Protection Act, the Control of Pollution Act, the Air Prevention of Control of Pollution Act. Have you assisted anybody in air pollution seeking the CTE, CTO? Might be there is an offense conducted and you have to check for that. So this is the schedule of offenses, friends, which now will give you an idea. Oh, it's not just about crime. It's about various other things also which you never thought are part of the scheduled offense. It's not just about drug trafficking or just about terrorism. It is much more than that, which is covering Indian Penal Code and many other things. So you need to be very cautious in your life as well. And then again, I'm always bullish. All these acts bring professional opportunities for us. So what usually happens, there is a collection of dirty money, there is a placement, then there is layering, there is an integration, and then you purchase luxury assets, financial investments, and this is how the cycle rotates. What are the main areas? False export import invoices, stock markets, agriculture income, products, property, creating bogus companies, showing loans, and mind it, all these are directly, indirectly reporting entities. Like the stock exchanges are reporting entities. The real estate brokers are reporting entities. The banks are reporting entities. So they all have to, suspicious transaction reports, cash transaction reports, they have to go to the financial intelligence unit of the Government of India, Department of Finance. So technically, all those reporting entities, wherever it is thought that, okay, there might be some cash involved, there might be some illegal money involved, in fact, not to use the word cash, but not to use the word black money, but to use the word illegal money involved. Then wherever it is rotating, most of them have been considered as reporting entities. That too, chartered accountants also now fall under the concept of reporting entities. So if many of you must have opened your SSO ID and a red flag is there, that is related to AML compliances. Now let us see, okay, whatever you do, so there are two things. First, the confiscation of the assets, and then punishment. Let us see what is the punishment so that you have an idea that what is so draconian about this act. And what, see, when we practice an act, that act needs to have some kind of enforcement. Only then the people would be afraid from that, and then the requirement of a professional would arise, because they might seek genuine guidance whether we are complying with the provisions of law or whether by any chance we are infringing any provision of the law. And there the role of good professionals would come. So section 4, if proceeds of crime involve any offense under para 2 of part A of schedule offenses, what is that? That is narcotic drugs and psychotropic substance. So for that, the punishment is different. And for any person found guilty of offense of money laundering, the punishment is different. So for normal cases, except the drugs, it is imprisonment from 3 to 7 years and fine up to rupees. For others, it is from 3 years to 10 years and fine up to 5 lakh rupees. In addition, the tainted property shall be confiscated by the central government, section 8.5 of the act. So technically what happens, if you are involved in anything related to Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Act, it may range up to 10 years, and from 3 years to 10 years. And the other offenses, it may range from 3 to 7 years. So property is attached, punishment is given. Now, what happens for attachment of property involved in money laundering? So if I'll give you a basic framework. So if anybody is found to be holding any asset which might be from the offense of money laundering, the enforcement directorate through its people, the deputy director, the joint director, because it is written that not below the rank of deputy director. I'll share with you in the slides to come what is the hierarchy in the enforcement directorate. Okay, so and if there is any person in possession of any proceed of crime, such and that such proceeds of crime are likely to be concealed, transferred, or dealt with in a manner which may frustrate the proceedings, then they can be attached. Friends, with respect to attachment, I can very briefly tell you a few things. So there are two kinds of attachments. One is that there is a search, they find something and immediately either it is freezed or attached. Then there is a search or there is an investigation against somebody, there is a proceed of crime found, there is an asset found, and there is a provisional order of attachment which is passed. In the first case, the retention of the assets cannot be more than 30 days with the learned IO investigating officer, and for that they have to seek permission from the adjudicating authority. In the other case, and then the adjudicating authority gets 180 days for that. And in the other case, when the provisional order of attachment is passed, another 180 days are there with the adjudicating authority to confirm. I'll come to that. So search and seizure, how can somebody come to you? Now, friends, what is important is for section 17 of search and seizure, because you might have heard that ED searched this, ED searched that person, and whether that person, he was dealing in real estate. Why was he searched? How could he be searched? He was normally doing his business. So now you understand, friends, that if that person has committed any crime, which is forming part of those 132 sections, ED can also get the power of looking into the transaction and investigating it. So suppose a person, he sells lands and he befools people. He fools them, he generates money from that, and there is a FIR against him. So that police station will take care of an FIR, and similarly, ED can file a enforcement case information report and start seeing the matter, because they know that this person might have illegally earned some money and now he's bringing that into the channel. So before a search, the enforcement directorate must have reason to believe in writing that some person has committed money laundering or has property or records or proceeds of crime in his presence. Then they may enter the area, break open any lock, inspect records, inquire employees, other concerned persons on the road, mark places on documents, make copies, inventories, just like search and seizure, what happens in the Income Tax Act. So this is much more technical and much more, I would say, difficult, or in terms of important, because it is looking after some crime. So this becomes more serious. And immediately after the completion, forward the copy of materials and reasons to adjudicating authority. As I said, that they have to forward it to the adjudicating, whatever they retain or freeze, it has to be forwarded to the adjudicating authority. And after seizure, freezing, file an application within 30 days requesting retention for such deeds, record them, proceeds if they want to investigate it further and they want to retain. So a scam, somebody goes in jail by ED, you feel that he was doing a normal business, or maybe he was a government officer or he was a minister. Why was he caught? Because Prevention of Corruption Act is part of the scheduled offense. So any developer being caught for the offense of money laundering? Yes, because he might have conducted some kind of illegal action because of which there is an FIR which is taken by this. So what is most important is that there has to be an offense under those 132 sections of 29 acts. Otherwise, the scope of PMLA Act would not lie, or the transaction would not lie before the enforcement. Powers to arrest, again, important for you to know that who can be arrested. The deputy director or assistant with authorization by central government and has reasons to believe that person is guilty an offense, may arrest the person. So it is a cognizable and non-bailable offense. And remember that line: jail is a rule, bail is an exception. Fine, we'll come to section 45, which has specified this. And immediately after arrest, the material has to go to the adjudicating authority, and the person has to be produced before the special court or judicial magistrate within 24 hours. These are the procedures. I know might not be that interesting at this stage, but yes, you must know how can an arrest be made. Yes, we'll come to the case laws where your many queries would get solved. That you all have read section 68 of the Income Tax Act. You all have read 148 of Income Tax Act. You are very well versed with the reasons, word reasons recorded. We've got thousands of cases done on the basis of lack of sanctity of the reasons recorded. The same is the case here. There is no need to show ECIR, which is the entire enforcement information report. But yes, the person who is searching, the person who is arresting, has to show the reasons recorded why there is a reason to believe that they have breached the privacy. Article 21 of the Constitution of India. Searching somebody, entering someone's premises is breach of privacy, personal liberty. Article 21 gets infringed. So therefore, they have to give the reasons to believe, writing. And then reasons to believe always have to be proper. They need to have live link nexus of some kind. Fine. So arrest can happen. They can, come and then retain the properties, freeze them. Everything can be there. We'll go more technical maybe when we talk section wise, and when you'll do the course, you'll come to know about that. The most important part, which is a main difference between an Income Tax Act or a civil law and a criminal law like PMLA, is burden of proof. So in a basic law like Income Tax Act, the department or the courts may ask the assessing officer to give that what was the reason to believe. The onus is on you. Why did you issue notice under section 148 of the Act? Whereas in a criminal law, the burden of proof is on the person who is alleged, meaning thereby the person who is alleged has to prove that no, I am not involved in any crime. So there's a big difference. So suppose somebody charges me for something, it is on me to say no, I have not conducted, and I have to bring evidences to say and to prove that I have not done anything. Instead, that person giving the proof that why is he suspecting me to do that. So this is very important. And then obviously the tribunals are there. So I'll come to the structure now. So the special courts are there. So what is happening, sir? Again, when the word special courts come, there is an attachment of property which is going from a provisional attachment order to adjudicating authority to tribunal. And then there is a prosecution which is going to special courts, and offenses triable by the special court. So these are two things happening under the PMLA Act, and another web of transactions happening under the Act in which the predicate offense, the main offense was done, which is IPC, Arms Act. So there's a group of things happening. But yes, the prosecution part of both can be merged before the special courts. This facility is there so that there is a common trial. Again, 45, why it is important? Because this will make you understand the crux. Cognizable offense means arrest without warrant. Special court shall not take cognizance of any money laundering offense unless a complaint has been filed by director or any officer of central government or state government. No police officer shall investigate into a money laundering offense and cannot make any arrest. Only director, deputy director, and assistant director can arrest, to in condition of the bails. Now, this is very important. I told you, jail is a rule, bail is an exception in PMLA. The public prosecutor has been given an opportunity to oppose the bail, and the court has reasonable grounds for believing that it is not guilty of such offense and that he is not likely to commit any offense while on bail. Now see how beautiful it is. So you are alleged for an offense of money laundering, and to give bail, the special court has two conditions. First, that the public prosecutor has been given good time and opportunity of being heard. Yes, it should be there. Second is that the court has reasonable grounds for believing. Mean at the initial stage only, when the offense is being looked after, or the assets are being looked after, and meanwhile if an arrest takes place, the court must have reasonable grounds for believing that he is not guilty of such offense. Only then they can give bail. So if they give bail, this would mean that the original case will go away. So it becomes very difficult to take bail from the special courts. Most of the bails are given by either the Honorable High Courts or the Supreme Court, because at the initial stage, to create a belief that he is not guilty without the department having actually investigated. So they go to somebody's place, they arrest him. Now, they have not investigated, they have not done their working for what is required to be done. But then they have to produce him before the special court within 24 hours. And the judge has to be satisfied that he is not guilty. So it is just like giving a judgment in one day without seeing the document. So it becomes very difficult. Therefore, the judicial custody is extended for a very long period of time. The authorities can summon production of documents. See, when I'll come to the authorities, I'll share with you that how they work. But one judgment is important here. So, Vijay Madanlal Chaudhary, which confirms, which affirms the ED's powers on arrest, attachment, search, and seizure. And it was held that and we have considered ECIR is not mandatory. What is like an FIR? There is an enforcement case information report that is not mandatory to be shown, but yes, and the burden of proof is on the accused, and the offences are cognizable and non-billable. Now, I'll come to what is enforcement. So what we have learned till now is the ecosystem of what around which the provisions of the PMLA Act revolve, and what power they get, how do they get the power, and what they can do, and not the basic or not the nitty-gritties, but you've got the basic idea. But you need to know who is going to do that. So an enforcement directorate has been made as a multidisciplinary organization mandated with investigation of offense of money laundering and violations of foreign exchange laws. It is very important for you to understand that the Directorate of Enforcement is a specialized financial investigating agency under the Department of Revenue, Ministry of Finance. In 1956, Enforcement Unit was formed in the Department of Economic Affairs for handling exchange control laws violations. In 1957, this unit was renamed as Enforcement Directorate. So, when did ED come into force? Exactly 1956. There was an enforcement unit which was dealing with exchange control laws. And finally, in 1957, it was named as Enforcement Directorate. Though the PMLA Act came in 2005, 1st July 2005, Act of 2002, but with effect from 1st July 2005. And the powers of this act were given to the Enforcement Directorate, which was made in 1957. Now, what all are the laws which ED enforces? It is very important. So first is Foreign Exchange Management Act. Second is PMLA, what we are studying today. Third is Fugitive Economic Offenders Act. 2 or 3 people have been, alleged as fugitive economic offenders. I need not take the names. Then there is Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, FERA, which existed prior to FEMA, 1999. But there are certain cases pending under FERA. So the act, though the FEMA has come into force, but yes, still the Enforcement Directorate controls that. And then it is a sponsoring agency for COFI-POSA, which is the Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Preservation of Smuggling Activities, which is COFI-POSA. So these are primarily the 5 acts which come under the Enforcement Directorate. Powers of investigating officers. So ED, then what all acts the ED can do, and now they can do survey, they can search, they can seize, they can freeze, they can search person, they can arrest, they have power to summon, production of documents. So you can get a summon from the officer of the London Enforcement Directorate that you produce these details before me. And then you say someday, why do they have jurisdiction over me? Yes, when they are investigating a crime, they get jurisdiction over you. So they have power to summon, production of documents, and give evidences, and you'll have to give whatever they ask. Power of retention of property and records, and power to attach properties. Then subsequently, how this retention, freezing, and attachment will be dealt, that we have principally discussed and we'll discuss later. But these all are the powers of the investigating officers: search, seizure, survey, freeze, search person, arrest, summon, production of documents, give evidence, retention of property, attach property. It is very important for you. Now, each and every activity is a professional opportunity, either in way of representation or either in way of preparation of documents, preparation of any kind of calculation, doing audits, and many other things. So after exercising the above powers, the authority shall forward the reasons so recorded or order along with material in possession to adjudicating authority. So principally, whatever is done at the initial stage is provisional. Most of the things almost are provisional, and they get finality by the learned adjudicating authority. The authority seizing any record. So this is like if they have to send in 30 days, we have already discussed. Why these are coming again and again? Because when you will see the slides, so that you don't have to go back and see certain things. So that's why the part of learning exercise. So the connected things are coming up again. But when you will read it independently, then that would be very helpful for you. So these are the powers. So what is enforcement directorate? We have seen what are the powers of investigating officers. Now let us see the structures of the authorities. So headquarter Delhi is led by the learned director of enforcement. Then he has special directors. Then he has joint directors, additional directors, then deputy directors, then assistant directors, then investigating officers, and then the assisting superintendents and staff like. So like in income tax, we have inspectors, income tax officers, assistant commissioner, deputy commissioner, joint commissioner, additional commissioner, then the commissioner, then principal commissioner, then chief commissioner, principal chief commissioner, then the honorable member of the board and the chairman. This is how the structure of the authorities is there in enforcement directorate as well. So they have regional offices in Mumbai, Chennai, Chandigarh, Kolkata, and Delhi, which are led by special directors. Zonal offices in Ahmedabad, Srinagar, Chandigarh, Bangalore, Chennai, Cochin, Delhi, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Lucknow. They are led by joint directors. Again, Jaipur is also there. Then subzones, Indore, Surat, Nagpur, Jammu, etc., led by deputy directors. So we may, as the organization is progressing, so we may have joint directors also. So we have additional director in Goa, then deputy director, then the assistant director. So across the ecosystem in the country, we have the zones, and accordingly the structure plays its role based on the. So in the act, it is prescribed what act can be done not below the rank of DD, what act can be done not below the rank of joint. So that is how they derive the jurisdictions. So what is the procedure under the law? So what we have done is we now know about what is enforcement directorate, what are the laws, what are their powers, what is their constitution. So what is the procedure under the law? So first there has to be a scheduled offense. In terms of ED we are talking. In terms of PMLA Act we are talking. Then there is an investigation by police, CBI, NCB, Forest Department. If you can see my cursor here, because there is an initial investigation being done under those 29 acts. In those acts also there is a complaint charge and there is a jurisdictional court which will take care of the prosecution, and the matter comes to the special court. So there is an offense being done under the 29 acts, and there is a prosecution or punishment which goes to the special court. Now come to the ED. Intelligence from FIU, other sources. Again, this investigation by police, CBI, all these things can come here. Inquiry and investigation by ED, filing of ECIR. So from there, these 29 acts, they will pick and start inquiring and investigation, suo motu or on the basis of some complaint. So either there is an intelligence from FIU or other sources or inquiry, then there are summons under 50. Then if somebody doesn't comes, or maybe direct survey, search and seizure. Now there will be two things. One is criminal, one is civil. What is criminal? Complaint to the court for prosecution, and civil is provisional attachment of property. Then it goes to adjudicating authority, confirmation. Now both these cases, when they come on the criminal side to the special court, so either a person is convicted in the scheduled offense, or he is convicted in the criminal offense. So either he is convicted in the criminal offense, or he is convicted in the civil offense. So either he is convicted in the criminal offense, or he is convicted in the civil offense. So either he is convicted in the criminal offense, or he is convicted in the civil offense. So either he is convicted in the criminal offense, or he is convicted in the civil offense. So either he is convicted in the criminal offense, or he is convicted in the civil offense. So either he is convicted in the criminal offense, or he is convicted in the civil offense. So either he is convicted in the criminal offense, or he is convicted in the civil offense. So either he is convicted in the criminal offense, or he is convicted in the civil offense. So either he is convicted in the criminal offense, or he is convicted in the civil offense. So either he is convicted in the criminal offense, or he is convicted in the civil offense. So either he is or conviction of money laundering or confiscation of tainted property. Fine. So, special court, where they will convict in the scheduled offense, so they will get penalty for this, and then there is a conviction for money laundering, and there is a cost confiscation of tainted property, which is gathered from here by doing that these survey, search, seizure, summons, and everything. So this is the web, or I would say procedure under the law. Uh, though it is not interactive, so I'm presuming that you people are understanding what I'm saying, and then probably we may have questions at a later stage, whereas the time permits. Now, appeal to the higher authorities. From adjudicating authority, the appeal goes to the appellate tribunal, high court, and then the Supreme Court. Certain timelines are important because there is a provisional order of attachment within 30 days. When during the search it is freezed and done. Within 30 days, the complaint along with documents should be filed to the adjudicating authority. Then, when there is a provisional order of attachment, again that has to be filed to the adjudicating authority. Then 180 days time they have. Then after that, appeal time is there up to the High Court and the Supreme Court. And the parallel proceedings of criminal prosecutions can also go. So, civil for attachment of property and criminal for prosecuting. This is one thing which most of you would have seen, the red flag under PMLA, which is appearing on your SSP portal. If you have not seen, please see this, because you might be liable to comply for certain things. So again, then you can be complying it for professionals also. You can develop a practice where you tell all chartered accountants, I am doing your AML compliances, give it to me and I'll charge professional fees for that. That is also a job which we can do. But before this slide, we have understood what are the, what is ED, what are the powers, and how it operates, and what are the timelines, basic timelines. One important thing, friends, because this will make you understand what business can be generated. So there was a notification by Department of Revenue dated 3rd May 23, wherein the central government notified that financial transactions carried out by relevant person on behalf of his client in the course of his or her profession in relating to the following activity shall be an activity for the purposes of said subsection, which is the reporting entity. Why I'm telling this to you is because most of us are involved in doing so many transactions for our client that we forget that whether we are client or whether we are professionals serving that client. We act as a client only. So what the notification said, that in case of reporting entity is following activities would be looked with more keenness if in course of his or her profession what you are doing, buying and selling of any immovable property, managing of client money, securities and other assets, management of bank savings or securities account, organization of contributions for the creation, operation and management of companies, creation, operation of management of companies, limited trust, and buying and selling of business entities. Sir, I will become a shareholder in your company. I'll become a director in your company. I'll make a company for you. Sir, now you have to look into all these things because there are AML guidelines which have to be looked into. And then who are the professionals? Who are the relevant persons? An individual who obtained a CP under Section 6 of the Chartered Accountants Act, the Company Secretaries Act, the Cost and Works Accountant Act. Fine. So all practitioners would come under the purview of people who are might be considered for directly assisting, or be the reporting entities for that purpose. Then this has been categorically defined. I'll share this with you, and then you can see what all activities are there, which may make you fall under the concept. And then you are also definitely a reporting entity. A banking company is a reporting entity, a financial institution is a reporting entity, an intermediary is a reporting entity, maybe a broking company or something like that, and a person carrying on a designated business or profession is also a reporting entity. So you need to now look into this, whether you form part of reporting entity, what are your liabilities as a reporting entity, and then if you are carrying a designated business, or profession. Designated business or profession means such activities as the central government may notify. So designate from time to time. So in this case, they have already notified. Fine. So what all are the roles of reporting entity? Another few slides contain that you have to verify the identity, genuineness, creditworthiness of the person, what transactions you are doing. If you're seeing that suddenly there is a splurge in profits of the company, then you might have to report that. You have to maintain certain records for that purpose. Fine, then you need to have access to the information. You need to have enhanced due diligence for that purpose. You might have to monitor many things. You might have to monitor withdrawal or deposit in cash, foreign transactions, high value import or remittances, other transactions or the class of transaction which are specified transactions, that you might have to look into that. And then the directorate can impose penalty on such reporting entity, up from 10,000 to 1 lakh rupees for each failure. So you have to be very cautious that whatever you are doing, assisting your clients, at the time of assisting your client, doesn't make you fall under all these provisions. Then there is a process how it goes, that from CA it will go to SRB, which is formed by ICI, and then it will go to the Financial Intelligence Unit. And then there are certain, uh, financial transactions on behalf of the client in the normal course of business. If you are doing for them, then you are the relevant person for that. And then there is a set of guidelines of cash transactions, suspicious wireless transfers, which you have to see. So I have included the scan codes for AML compliances for the professionals. So if by chance you get to obtain this presentation, you can do that. And I've shared the draft forms also, which have to be given, so that you can have a brief look of what is to be done. Then I have included the rules also with respect to the due diligence, and who is the principal officer who is responsible, what is the transaction, what are suspicious transactions. I'll just share with you this. This is important. What are suspicious transactions? Are separately defined, means a transaction which gives you a reasonable ground of suspicion that it may involve process of an offense specified in the schedule of the act. It appears to be unusual or unjustified complexity, appears to have no economic rationale, or it may related to terrorism or something like that. So these are the suspicious transactions which you are and if the cash transactions are above 10 lakhs, suspicious transaction any value, and immobile transactions above 50 lakhs, these all need to be reported from your side. So see, as a professional opportunity, there are various types of reporting entities. You can do work for them. As a chartered accountant, you can do this for other chartered accountants also. By developing this practice, you can make out a prototype for yourself, and then ask your fellow professionals to fill them, and then you can bill them for your services for that. So there are rules with rest related to the maintenance of various things. Why I'm talking, because there is a specific entire set of law for chartered accountants, and red flag indicators, that specific red flag indicators have been identified. Like the client owns asset located abroad but not declared in tax return, this is a red flag. Extensive or unusual related party transaction, this is a red flag. So there is, I guess, 54 such red flags which have been identified by FIU, 53 in fact, which have been identified by FIU for reporting entities like chartered accountants, which they have to see whether if this is happening around their clients, then they have to be reported. And then there is a mechanism and format for reporting. This is the scanner for the format for reporting. And yes, whether any, the question is whether, if Imanshu, you are saying all this, whether any civil or criminal proceeding may be initiated against me. No prosecution is contemplated by Chapter 4 of the PMLA for default in compliance. But Section 14 of the PMLA contemplate that no civil or criminal proceeding shall lie against the reporting entity, its directors and employees for furnishing information. So as such, you are safe. But again, then there is a liability which may range from 10,000 rupees to up to 1 lakh rupees per issue. So that you have to see. And I've given certain examples that if you are, because see, ultimately, what would be whether you are part of assisting your clients for that. So I have given certain examples here where you might be part of, if you're doing some things for your clients, as we had seen earlier, that you are registering a document on behalf of your client, doing something, investing on behalf of your client, taking the financial decisions on behalf of your client, signing the checkbooks on behalf of, then if that client is part of the offense of money laundering, you can also be, part of the offense of money laundering. So you have to be very, very cautious for that purpose. Now, having given you a brief idea in past 75 minutes about the provisions of the law, I'll because this law is really interesting, because when anything relates to crime, it makes it more interesting, that what will happen if this will happen, what will happen if this is there, that is there. So I will take you through few important case laws, though my purpose is not to take you through those case laws, but take you through those issues which will set a benchmark or a bar in your mind with respect to what we've seen, the powers, we've seen what courts can do, we've seen the what the act can do, but then there's always a limitation. So till what extent can they do? What is their liability? So it is liability of the accused, I know, but I have to prove that I am not guilty. But still, there must be something which draws a line for the powers of the authorities as well. So I'll just share few uh, important issues without going to the cases. The accused must be provided written grounds of arrest under Section 19 of PM. Very simple. You might not be shown the enforcement case information report, but the grounds must be shown to you. Written grounds must be shown to you. A question was going on whether can a delayed delivery by a builder amount to criminal offense triggering PMLA proceedings? No. Why no? That has to be part of the scheduled offense. That has to be part of the schedule, and then only it can be considered. Otherwise, no. Is it necessary for a PMLA special court to record reasons before taking cognizance of the ED complaint? No. Delhi High Court held that special courts under PMLA are not required to record reasons while taking cognizance of an ED complaint. So ED has already taken the reasons recorded. So the special court is not required while adjudicating the prosecution or sending somebody, arresting some, or sending somebody behind the bars. Then that is not required. Can ED arrest the accused after the special court has taken cognizance of a PMLA complaint? So what is that? The Supreme Court ruled that once the special court takes cognizance of a PMLA complaint, ED cannot exercise its arrest power under Section 19. After cognizance, the accused must appear before the court and CRPC procedures will apply, unless inconsistent with PMLA. So it cannot be that he is produced and the special court is doing something, and again the ED is also doing something. So the court clarified the difference between securing presence and granting bail. Is prior sanction required to prosecute public servants under PMLA? Yes. No public servant can be prosecuted under PMLA unless there is a mandatory permission taken. Does the principle of bail is the rule apply? Yes. PMLA, despite the severity of charges, apply. What is the rule? What was the bail is the rule? That jail is inevitable and bail is an exception. Fine. So that is, so SC held that statements under Section 50 are inadmissible if obtained when the accused is already in custody in another case. Confessional or statements by a co-accused are not admissible as substantive evidence in PMLA matters unless there is other independent material to collaborate guilty. So basically the concept is that jail is a rule and bail is a exception. Can an offense committed in foreign country be treated as a predicate offense under PMLA? Yes. Delhi High Court held that offenses committed abroad can qualify as scheduled offenses if they have cross-border impact and the proceeds enter India. However, the enforcement directorate must strictly prove the foreign law and its applicability through evidences. Can ED invoke PMLA without a scheduled predicate offense? No, they cannot do that. And FEMA and PMLA have to be differentiated. Is mere possession of proceed of crime sufficient to invoke the provisions of PMLA? Yes. So somebody did a crime, gave me 10,000 rupees, and I'm found possessing that. The provisions of PMLA Act can be invoked. Then IBC doesn't override PMLA attachment. Substitution of attached properties from permitted. Suppose your land is attached and you want to give it an FD, then you can change into that subject to the approvals. Onus is always on the accused, the presumption for the proceeds of crime. Directors can represent dissolved companies in PMLA cases. These issues are, going on very loudly these days. So just covered them. Fine. So this is, what is principally all about the money laundering and the offense of money laundering and the PMLA Act. Now, I believe we can start taking some questions. Saurabh, if anybody wish to uh, know more about this subject or learn more about this subject, and if they have any queries. Mr. Saurabh Goel, you are there, sir? In chats, if I can see certain messages. Friends, you can write down your messages in the chat box if you wish to ask anything, or maybe you can raise your hands and uh, the technical support can allow you to discuss the issue or the query with me. Mr. Saurabh Goel, you there?
Sir, he will be back in 2 minutes due to some emergency outside.
All right, fine. So technical support, can you see if there are any queries or somebody has raised hands for the uh, questions? No, there are two things. Where one is that nobody understood anything, so there is no question, or maybe everybody understood everything initially, so there are no questions. But yes, this is a very emerging field for chartered accountants. It's a very good emerging area for chartered accountants, and there are a lot many things. The level of fees is high. The level of transaction is very serious, so it demands a lot of attention. You need to read not only the PMLA Act, but you need to read the other scheduled offense laws as well as CPC, CRPC, Evidence Act, and many other things. If you're a combination of a chartered accountant and a lawyer practicing as a chartered accountant, this is something which is worth doing. The calculation of proceed of crime, assisting the people while representing before the learned enforcement directorate, matching the documents, creating replies in such a way that the data is explained. This is an art which only chartered accountants can do. So that way is there are a lot many opportunities under this act. Yes, Saurabh, I was just asking if you've got any queries or you've got any questions.
Sir, first of all, thank you so much for the review session. And hello, I'm out.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir, for this session. And we received some queries. So let's take one by one. So,
I am unable to see the queries. How would I be able to see?
actually, sir, there is another portal for Q&A, and we have the
Okay.
login. So the first query is, if a client conceals the fact of money laundering, whether CA is responsible and is there any charges on CA if client conceal anything from CA.
Sir, the thing is, the presumption. Section 3 says you are knowingly. So if you are not knowingly assisted, you might not be liable. Now there's a very hairline difference whether you know that or not. So when you get this presentation, you can see those 54, triggers, which may make you think that something fishy is happening or something wrong is happening. But yes, sir, like, first thing is that the basic presumption goes that when you are doing an audit on when you are looking into something, you have applied your mind and proper due diligence has been done. I have seen a case where chartered accountants have issued certificates with respect to the parameters which are required from the banks by the banks for sanctioning the loans, and the loans were fraudulently obtained, and subsequently the equity certificate given by the chartered accountants were also challenged, and they went into the ambit of the provisions of the money laundering act. But yes, when they could prove themselves that they were not guilty, they were not involved, they had a bona fide, and they maintained a proper trail, they had all details available with them, then in that case, there was no adverse action against those sharks. So it all depends what kind of services you are giving, and secondly, what kind of arm's length distance you are maintaining.
And the next thing is, is there any procedure defined in the law which should be taken care by the chartered accountant while adding the client or something?
Sir, as such, due diligence, self due diligence is the basic aspect, as I said. But yes, now we have guidelines. AML guidelines are there, issued by FIU. You can go through them. You can go through the 54 aspects, and that will give you a reasonable, eye to watch the transactions, what are happening, and then you can be aware of whether to go ahead with something or not.
Sir. The next thing is, if someone did the wrong thing and earned crime proceeds, and after that he expensed of all the crime, so he had nothing. So after FIR and after the procedure of after procedure of authority, so is there any what should be the confiscate? Like if we don't have anything and
See, there is a concept of, first, if you have spent, then might be you have spent on some asset. So that asset can be confiscated. Might have you have gifted that money to somebody. So that gift can be taken from that person. So department will go to the trail from where the money originated and where it has ended up. Fine. And once the amount is specified, so maybe that person has acquired some asset during that period, which was after the offense of money laundering. So those assets can also be acquired. So though the law is that the exact wherever that amount is spent can be attached, but yes, like suppose in case of foreign assets, assets equivalent to the value in India can be asset, if you are not able to attach the foreign properties. So the basic fact is that even if you have spent, the wherever you have spent, that can also be attached.
so the next thing is like the property which has a more valuation than the crime of proceeds. So will that the extra money will be refunded to the
Proportionate attachment is there.
okay. So after the all the procedure, the balance amount will be refunded to the person.
Yes. Suppose if they will sell it, the balance would be refunded.
Okay. Okay. Suppose the person has donated that money.
So they will take
Then
from the organization to whom it has been donated.
okay.
Because they are enjoying the proceed of crime, holding the proceed of crime. I had stated 5, 6 activities. So nobody can hold, enjoy, or use the proceed of crime. Offense of money laundering is a continuing offense. Once done is always done.
Okay, fine, sir. So what is the time period for like if the crime has done by the person and suppose after 20 years later it will be like
Once an offense of money laundering, then it is always an offense of money laundering. So
okay, there is no
crime.
time period.
So there is no timeline. Suppose you are caught for your murder after 10 years, then also the punishment is same.
Okay.
All right. So yes, you can say that before this act coming into the force, prior to that period, the scheduled offense might not be considered, or when, as and when those scheduled offenses were included in the scheduled offense. Rest, I think they have to be, it's an ongoing offense. Benami and PMLA are ongoing offenses.
So the next question is, sir, you mentioned trademark and some like trademark and copyright act in the uh, webinar. So how does this act will attract PMLA? So if as a CA we are giving service to the client, charging fees for that, like for hearing and for some kind of trademark
Sir,
filing.
sir, the fact is that under the Trademark Act, in the schedule of offences under the PMLA Act, they have included certain sections, right? And if you are assisting somebody under the Trademark Act for that purpose, then in that case, if you are part of that offense, then you can be held liable for that. So I'll just share with you 1 second the exact provisions of the Trademark Act. Just for your knowledge, that so so there are 5 sections of offences under the Trademarks Act. Penalty for applying false trademarks, trade descriptions, penalty for selling goods or providing services to which false trademark or false trade description is applied, enhanced penalty on second or subsequent conviction, penalty for falsely representing a trademark as registered, punishment of abatement in India of acts done outside India. Now, if section 103, 104, 105, 7 and 120 of the Trademark Act gets attracted and you are part of that, then you may come into the ambit.
And I think all the questions and answers are over. So thank you so much, sir, for giving such an beautiful presentation. And thank you so much, sir. And it will be helpful for our future. Like if someone is doing in your member, someone is doing in PMLA, then definitely you are the only the referral point for us to contact it. So thank you, sir. Thank you for the session. And thank you on behalf of our committee as well. So special thanks to our chairman, sir, CFA Chacharji and Vice Chairman Pramod Jainji. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
So now we are officially ending our webinar. So all the participants, thank you so much for joining us. We will meet again in another webinar with another trending topic. Thank you so much, CA Himanshu. Thank you, sir. Yeah.